Hello, folks. Jorge, Roding Fungus, Stephen England. What's up, Herschel? We got Unseen, Steve McQueen, APOC, and Daryl. What's up, Jen? What's up, Malk here, east of the Rockies? We got Stephen England over to Rumble, and we'll start in just a second here. Good evening, good evening. 10 seconds, Troubled Minds coming up. Hiker, Ricky, anything is possible. And here we go. Let's begin, shall we?
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. It was too fast to get out there.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness.
Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, we'll be taking your call tonight at 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Of course, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. It's where we get together and hang out during the shows, after the shows, all of the above. So come hang out, come meet all of the amazing people that make this show go. And as I like to say, they are far more incredible than they are on the show, because I always cut people off. We run into break time and all the rest of it. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Happy Sunday. Thanks for being part of this. Now, as we begin, I had this idea. Now, you know me and my ideas. I've got all manner of wild ideas. And that's exactly the point of this, is to share these ideas, is to talk about them, is to think about them, is to take the space of the AI systems and that encroachment and the acceleration we're always talking about, and instead move these things into the human mind space, the human conversation space. And that's what Troubled Minds has always been. Like I keep saying, I could have called this A Troubled Mind. That's it. And then just read 20 minutes of dialogue and bounced. No, we take phone calls, we talk about ideas, and that's that. So I think that's about where we need to be to start. And let us begin, shall we? Let me read the thing. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, let's do this. Let's do the thing. All right, here we go. I want you to think about the last story that really stuck with you. Not the one you respected. Not the one that was technically brilliant. The one that actually haunted you. The one that you keep thinking about days later. Now I want you to try and describe it in a single sentence. What happens? You probably fail, because that story was doing too many things at once. It was terrifying, but also beautiful. It was funny, but the jokes landed in weird places. It made you think deeply while also making you feel things you could not quite name. It was a love story, and a horror story, and a tragedy, and a mystery, all occupying the same space in your head. You have probably been told that means the story was confused, that it did not know what it was, that the creator couldn't decide on a tone or a genre. But what if we are the confused ones when it comes to this aspect? What if we have been trained to think in single categories, and the story was actually being more honest than we are? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, of course, and tonight we are talking about something that is going to change how you understand every narrative you consume, from movies to mythology to the stories you tell yourself about your own life. We are talking about generic masters, and more than that, we are talking about pantheons. Here's the core idea. Every story is a negotiation between invisible kings. I call them generic masters. Each one is a different genre god demanding to be served. Horror wants fear. Mystery wants puzzles solved. Romance wants emotional connection. Comedy wants laughter. Tragedy wants you to feel loss. Myth wants you to understand something larger than yourself. When you press play on a story, you are making a pact with at least one of these masters. You are saying, I understand the rules. I know what you are going to do to me emotionally, and I am here for it. The problem is we've been taught that a story should serve only one master. The horror film should only be horror. The comedy should only be comedy. The thriller should not get bogged down in philosophy or beauty. We have built entire industries, marketing systems, and critical vocabularies around the idea that pure genre is the goal. That confusion equals failure. But here is what the ancient cultures understood and what we forgot. A pantheon is more powerful than a single god. The old religions did not have one deity ruling everything. Now, when I talk about this, I want you to think about this as the deities, not God, capital G God, deities of stories. Okay, so don't get this confused. Just want to make you understand what I'm talking about here. So the old religions did not have one deity ruling everything. They had councils. They had competing forces: a god of war and a god of wisdom, a god of death and a goddess of life, a trickster and a lawmaker. Different domains, different agendas, sometimes in conflict. And that is not a bug. That is how you actually map reality. Reality is not ruled by a single principle. Reality is too complex for that. Your own consciousness is not ruled by a single force. You contain multitudes. That should be a t-shirt. You are pulled in many directions at once. You want safety and freedom. You want connection and solitude. You want to stay the same and also to change. You are logical and intuitive and emotional and rational, all at once. A story that insists you feel only one thing, that honors only one truth, that serves only one master, that story is asking you to be less complex than you actually are. But a polytheistic story, a story that lets multiple masters into the throne room at once, a story that is simultaneously scary and funny and tragic and transcendent. A story that can hold contradictions without needing to resolve them. That story feels true because it mirrors how you actually experience being alive. Yeah, this is almost done. Okay, so find my place. Sorry about that. I'll fix it in post. That is what we're exploring tonight. Not just why your favorite stories refuse to pick a lane, but why that refusal is the whole point. Why the culture keeps gravitating toward pantheons no matter how hard the gatekeepers try to enforce genre purity. Why consolidation into singularity, whether in religion or narrative or identity, never actually sticks. And what all this tells us about power, control, and freedom. Because here, my friends, is the dangerous part. If a story serves only one master, there is only one way to interpret it. Propaganda, right? We talk about that often. One emotional response, one lesson, one meaning. That makes it easy to control, easy to weaponize, easy to use as the aforementioned propaganda. But a polytheistic story, a story with multiple masters negotiating within it, that story resists control. It generates plural meanings. It refuses to be pinned down. That is why the most subversive, most challenging art tends to be the stuff that refuses single categorization. That's that. There's a lot here. I'm not gonna read the rest of it. That's pretty good. But the write-up is very good tonight. If you're into that, link's going to be in the description down below, troubledminds.org/friends. I do encourage you to read that stuff because it is deeper. Like the little monologues are kind of cool, you know, because I can kind of start the idea kind of percolating in your minds. But all of it's here. Go read the Substack. That's the place to find all the things. Now, the question I have for you guys tonight is, what is your favorite sort of genre-bending tale? It can be a book. It can be a movie. It could be a saga, a series, whatever it is. And why do you think it is important to not only serve one generic master? And I'll read you the title. Serving Generic Masters, Why Complexity Resists Control. That's what I think, but I want to hear what you think, and that's what this is all about. One more time, if you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor. In this case, that is the Stoic Minute by Jack in Oregon. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Sorry, I'm doing 10 things at once, and it's not good. More on the way. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed, overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we...
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Now, this is important. I've got a book idea that's percolating exactly on this topic tonight. And I haven't really introduced it directly, and it's deep and it's broad and it's very lengthy. But we can do this in the shorter version. But the question for you is, why is it that, let's say, from the 1950s all the way through the 90s and early aughts, we were supposed to boil everything down to an action movie, a rom-com, a this or a that, when true art really is without genres at all. And of course, me, being the tinfoil hatter that I am, it makes my tinfoil tingle when these ideas come up, is because it's easier to control us. That's it. It's very simple. What do you think about that? What is your favorite sort of genre-bending idea, movie, book, series, whatever? And let's talk about it. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. The phone line is back up, so we'll be taking calls on that tonight, and I think everything should be working. I stress tested it, thanks to James, who's also the birthday boy, by the way. I was listening to him and Jen last night on the show when they were doing it, and I was able to kind of use the Discord and the show they were doing to, cheat and do some audio work as well. Great work as always. Happy birthday, James. Salcedo Paranormal, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds. Welcome to the thing. Happy birthday. Happy Sunday. What's on your mind, my man? Go right ahead.
Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yes, sir. I'm fiddling with the dials. Yep. Sorry, say that again.
I had an echo.
Oh, perfect.
It's still there.
Oh, perfect. Well, then it's not fixed. Okay. All right. This is not good. Give me 1 second. Okay. So this is on Pro 2 chat. Okay. What about now? Test?
Okay. Talking now. And no echo.
Okay. No echo. That's good. All right. I hear you. You're going through the stream. You hear me. Everything's good?
I think so. Yep.
Okay. All right.
I think my internet is being a bit buggy, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay. Happy birthday. Welcome to the joint. What is on your mind tonight with the topic at hand? Because there's a lot here.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening in to me whenever I do my shows as well. And to Jen for being on my show with me last night. I talked with Mike a little bit about this before. I didn't get to check out the write-up, but this reminded me of the Dark Tower series from Stephen King. And it's one of those stories where people usually fall into one of two groups with it. They either loved it or they did not like it at all. And I did love it. But it's the other reason why it reminded me of this is because it has multiple genres in it. It's not just one or even two. It's a Western, which is funny because I'm not really a huge fan of Westerns as a rule. But it's also horror, which I am more of a fan of that, and science fiction or science fantasy and dark fantasy. Those are the four sort of genres that it is officially said to occupy. And I love it because it does take all those elements, but again, like I said, I wonder if it's so divisive in a way because it is so different. It is not like all of King's other works, which are mostly horror and or suspense.
Yeah, polarizing for sure. But I think once again, those larger kind of tales that weave in and out of the genres, they are more rewarding because not only are they difficult to kind of digest because we're, again, so used to being force-fed a singular thing or, even maybe two things, like a rom-com, that's a romantic comedy. Oh, so many things, right? But beyond that, like that's all of those things. And the thing actually that got me thinking about this is I think it was Friday night. I was watching Jeepers Creepers. Have you guys ever seen that? The original Jeepers Creepers. It's super, super corny, super scary. It's like folk horror meets like a teenage slasher, but then it's got body horror and it's got the monster movie aspect. It just got me thinking, I'm like, wait a minute now this is good, not because it's campy, because it's complicated. And it's not the best, but it's a great example of how sort of all those things can kind of come together and still be effective. Fire Stuff, what else you got?
Yeah, and it's funny because that Dark Tower series, it does start out more of a fantasy, maybe kind of Western, but really more fantasy. But then it starts blending other things into the story as it goes. And I'm just thinking of trying to think of other stories that I've liked over the years. I don't know of any others where they were that many genres together, but so that's probably why that is a big example to me. But yeah, I mean, if you think about any one genre, there's a lot of times there's a formula. There's a way, one of maybe a handful of ways a story will go if it is just in one genre, I would think. And but then when you start mixing them together, that can open up a lot more possibilities. And as in the description there, it can make a story a lot more complex, which is, if done right, it can be an amazing story that way.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of other ones. I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say about this and why. And let me ask James this question too, and this question goes out to everybody else. Do you think that the idea of sort of homogenizing these larger human concepts down into singular genres is a little bit insidious? And I say that because, number one, humans are complicated. But number two, it seems as if it's an easier way for them to just market whatever drivel they want to sell. That's what it seems like to me, but maybe I'm a little cynical. Well, definitely I'm a little cynical sometimes at least, but I don't know. What's your take on that? You think it is sort of a part of a larger insidious plan, at least for marketing, when it comes to boiling these things down to just one idea or one sort of basic backbone premise?
Yeah, I think for a lot of reasons there, it's partly because it may be easier to write that kind of a story. I think also, I mean, escapism is a big thing. People want to read stories and maybe not have to think so much about what they're reading. And so if it's just one genre, then they can kind of, and same with movies and things too, you can kind of just zone out or to varying degrees while you're going through that story. But if it has all kinds of other layers to it, then that's a lot harder to do. But yeah, I think definitely for marketing, anytime you can describe something simply in a few words for marketing, I think they probably like that because then it's easy to get everyone to do that within your company and probably make as much money as you can for yourself that way.
Indeed. Easy marketing. Hang tight. We got calls already, so I'm going to jump to Jay here in Arizona, and then we'll get back to you, okay? You were the best. Appreciate you very much. The glue of the show, Salcedo Paranormal. Happy birthday, James. Hang tight. Going to get right back to you in a moment. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Jay in Arizona. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
Pretty good. James, can you hear him?
No, I did not hear anything.
Perfect. Okay.
From him.
That's okay. Keep quiet. I'll just live route this. You are coming through all the other places there, Jay. So go right ahead. You're on Troubled Minds. Welcome to the thing.
I apologize. I missed the last show, which was really interesting. And I also had I think it was the last show was NDEs, right? Near-death experiences?
Yeah, partially. Yep.
Yeah, I wish I would have called in. I had some stories on that, but maybe next time. But today's topic regarding, I guess, books, correct? And kind of like, I forgot how you worded the question, but I guess me personally, recently coming across some literature of Carlos Castaneda, and I'm not saying I'm correct or my perspective is accurate, but just from what I've experienced, I think every culture has their own literature you have to kind of genetically connect with. I don't know if that makes sense. But for some reason, I found out about this author just through randomness or synchronicity or whatever. And one of my exes, which is crazy, is she's from Peru. And that's where Castaneda is from, which is interesting. And I guess just the literature per se, I haven't finished all his books or his series, but every time I do kind of look into it and read a page here or there, something interesting happens in my life, whether it's a change or kind of like a snake. I have reptiles too, when they're 30 days with the cycle of, the moon. But it's interesting, just how, I don't know, I'm not saying it has like a effect or power, but just for some reason that book, I guess in a mental aspect, psychologically, it resonates in my life and it produces changes, which is interesting. Other books I've read, which are interesting as well, but they've been more about, I guess, paranormal, or this book is more like introspection. So I guess that's why I see change in my life. But yeah, it's pretty much it.
Yeah, it is lots of things in play here. The idea, as usual, is multifaceted. But do you think the propaganda aspect does play, where they're trying to boil these ideas down to a singular space, a singular mind space for more nefarious purposes? You think for marketing and other things, for sort of controlling how people think? Does that play in your mind here?
I definitely believe so. Just kind of what you talk about on various topics and patterns. Again, everything's a pattern. I know they've done, I have some books I'm reading on MRI scan psychology of how the mind is atrophying per se because of the scrolling now versus the old school way, which is reading and, I guess the sixth sense imagination, but it does market. It does, I guess, subconsciously put something, whether it's something to buy or something to, I guess, think about outside of the tech. But everything has a marketing scheme. I know there's, I've done some projects before here locally with media stuff, and they have fake warehouses, various companies, and then they'll kind of navigate and see how the pattern is of a shopper within the warehouse, and kind of like, it's just manipulation, like you said. But they have these in Vegas too, I've heard, just with casinos. But again, they put money into these things, so it's not just, I don't think it's a basic type of psychology. I think it's more in depth to generate whatever it is, a drug addict, I guess, in a way. It's somebody that gets addicted to this psychologically, I guess.
Yeah, well, beyond, not even that, like that's part of it, of course, but then much of it is we're born into it. And kind of, as usual, I talk about these hidden control mechanisms that we're always dealing with that we don't even know we're under the influence of. And it's important to point them out, or else we cannot sort of escape the proverbial boot on our neck. We're just about out of time, my man, about 40 seconds left. Final thought here. Appreciate the call.
No final thoughts. Thank you again for your time, and Happy New Year to everybody as well.
And you as well. I appreciate the call. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. You have a great night.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. That's Jay in Arizona, the official skydiver of Troubled Minds. Yeah, I'm not sure. Did you guys hear him on Discord? So if it's not I didn't get an answer there. I asked in the chat, but anyway, if not, I'll fix it back, or we'll figure something out. Pull up the stream, I guess. I thought I had everything fixed, but you know how this works. Indeed. Okay, anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in just a moment here. And if your Discord, you didn't hear him, don't worry. I will, I don't know, I'll try and do something on the way. There we go. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. Let's see, which button do I push here? A lot of buttons. Here we go, this one.
Barcode badge, testing grin, clocking cores, fluorescent skin, endless memos. Copy paste, feed the system, waste my taste. I do my pulse to their command, present posture, pre-made plans. Every slogan etched in glass, every question typed, then trashed. Serving generic masters, knees on the office floor. They sell us faster answers, complexity once more. Serving generic masters, scripts in a tidy roll. But chaos in the circuits refuses to obey control. Grey-tailed hallway, clicking shoes, muted gossip, careful truths. Hidden folder, private file, secret patterns, out of style. Tiny glitches in the grid, silent motives halfway in, messy feelings wrong on form, still together like a storm. What if every side note spoke a different plan? What if tangled questions slipped through every hand? Algorithms shaking, shredding every mold, wild and unresponsive, too stubborn to be sold.
Indeed. What's up, Matt? We got Herschel here. What's up, Joe in Florida, Roving Fungus, Unseen Steve McQueen, APOC. What's up, Derek? I see there. We got the Robert. So the order here is we've got Malk here east of the Rockies coming up next, and then we've got the Robert. More from James and your calls as well. Hi, Jan. I see you there. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Magavelli, I see you. What's up, buddy? Good evening. Good evening. Over we got Karen. Puff is there. Carl. Good evening. Good evening on Rumble. I'll circle back and say hi. If I missed you guys, just ping me and say hi, Mike, and I'll say hi back. What's up, Hiker? Got first over there on Rumble as well. Ricky, thanks for the raid. What's up? Hello is not available. Okay, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right now, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you know about these generic masters? And do you think genres are actually, I don't know, maybe a way of censoring independent thought? Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, we're taking your calls at 702-957-1037. Tonight, you are a pantheon. Multiple gods pulling in different directions, wanting safety and freedom, connection and solitude, order and chaos. Your favorite stories map your own inner complexity. They work because they're brave enough to serve many masters. And tonight, we're exploring why that matters. I'm laughing because the camera froze. Check it out. That's got the mic. Oh boy. The beauties of live streams. There you go. You're going to get to see me with a lemon face or whatever. Anyway, I'll try and fix it as we go. There's so many technical difficulties. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, test 1 2. Let's kill that echo and get a take from you, and we'll go to the phone lines.
I'm here, and there's the echo.
Okay, cool. Making sure. All right, go right ahead. Should be killed.
Okay. And no echo, which is good.
Okay, you're good. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, just even that, the multitude part and the complexity part, it just reminds me of my own sort of personality or situation where I spend a lot of time at home myself, and there are times I love that I when I have to go out in public and do things, do errands and things like that, it's just so draining. But on the other hand, look where I'm at. Look what I do almost every night, either in my own show or here or wherever. I like to be with people, at least in some way, and the best way that works for me. And that is being online with all kinds of friends and talking with them, either voice or text messaging or whatever. But so yeah, it's funny that came to me when you were mentioning that. But yeah, the genres, like I said, I think there are some to have two genres that work together really well, like romance, comedy, that kind of thing. I think in a way, it is two genres because there is just comedy, and I'm guessing there is just romance. I'm not very familiar with that genre myself, but then you have them to put together as well. But then there's some where it seems like when you try to put them together, you lose a lot of people. Some people are not into it. I'm thinking of sort of horror and comedy, dark humor, that kind of thing. It does not work for everyone, but it's still around. But there's these sort of pockets of audiences, with everything really, but with that in particular, the genres are an important consideration in whatever you're going to make. If you're going to make any kind of art, any kind of TV show or movie or book.
Yeah, it's just sort of letting people know what to expect, right? I mean, you're not going to walk blindly into a bookstore and just grab a book. Like, I get that part, but then I think beyond that, there's more of sort of an underslide to what's happening with that larger context of storytelling. And storytelling should be as complicated as humans, and humans are very complicated, and that's the deal. You're the best, brother. Hang tight. We'll get right back to you momentarily. We got some calls to get to. Appreciate the enthusiasm, guys, and the ideas. Keep them flowing. Again, happy birthday to James. Reach out to him if you got a little something for James. That would be super cool. And just salcidoparanormal.com is where you can find him and all the rest. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. 702-957-1037. What about the idea of these generic masters? And why is merging genres so much of a better play when it comes to satisfying human mind space, let's say? Let's go to Malkir, east of the Rockies. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You're coming through just fine. If you can't hear him on Discord, sorry about that. I'm trying to fix it, but pull up the stream. Anyway, go ahead. You're on Troubled Minds. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, don't worry about that, Michael. Do you remember the last time we spoke?
I sure do.
I was on Forbidden Knowledge.
I sure do.
How you been, Michael?
I'm well. How are you? Welcome to the joint.
Doing very well.
Okay, fire away.
I would love to answer your question.
Okay, fire away.
Which one do you want to start with?
You choose. You called me.
All right, my favorite genre. That's one of the categories that you laid out. My favorite genre.
Okay.
Plato's Cave in the way of The Truman Show. Have you ever seen The Truman Show?
I have. It's been many years, but absolutely.
I think you should watch it again, Michael.
It's on the list.
I think you understand a lot more than your viewers think you do.
Oh, well, thank you. I do a good job of playing dumb most times for a lot of different reasons, by the way. But yeah, I thank you for that.
Certainly do.
Thank you for that. But
I wouldn't give you the compliment if you didn't earn it, but I think you are far more informed and intelligent than you lead on.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. What do you know about these the genres and the generic masters idea? Does that resonate at all with you?
Well, if you're talking about why they combine different genres together, they kind of splice different themes together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's pretty simple. It's to muddy the waters. You and I both know that these movies that exist nowadays, they have common themes that have existed for a long time. And by splicing them together, they make them less easy to figure out. They're a lot more convoluted. They muddy the waters, and that has a purpose to it.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot there, of course, but so where I agree with you, I also see where the other aspect of the pure story, the pure singular genre, really kind of harkens back to, NBC, CBS, and ABC, when there were only really three voices kind of pouring into the propaganda headspace. So both of them, I think, can be problematic, let's say, to the human mind space. But I don't know. What else you got? Go ahead.
Oh, you're right about that. Why do you think that they do it, personally? I mean, I could play off that if you would explain why you personally think that they would do it.
Well, I think that's my opinion, and why I'm talking about this tonight is that it's fractaling. Like we are turning those original genres into multiple versions of everything, and it's difficult to control in the larger context of those control mechanisms. Now, the wild part about it is I saw recently Mrs. Davis on Peacock. If you haven't seen that at all, it just blends. It's just so mind-boggling bonkers. It blends like a dozen or more genres into one thing. Almost so I don't even know how it got funded, because explaining this to somebody that would fund this is ridiculous. And me being a super weird guy, I'd be like, no, I'm sorry, I don't see a commercial place for this. But it worked, and it was very good and very strange. And maybe this is what we need. We need fractal ideas.
Why would we need that?
Super simple. To get as many ideas as possible into the human zeitgeist.
Yes, but if they're incoherent, what purpose do they serve?
We talked about this the last time you called, The Hero's Journey. They serve a very similar purpose to the reason we've been telling stories for thousands of years.
Yes, but those stories are usually consistent. You know this. And you know they always serve a purpose, and they always have an ultimate message. And usually they take one of two forms. It's either the shadow self, or they delve into the shadow self, which is why I mentioned Plato's Cave, or that, something like The Truman Show, which seems goofy. Something like with Jim Carrey, and on its surface level, it just seems like wild, a fresh genre, something that hasn't been covered yet. But for those that are inculcated, they know better. They know exactly what it's depicting. But why would they splice together different genres with incoherent narratives? They don't really have an overall message at the end of the day. What would you say is the message of the aforementioned movie or series that you mentioned?
It's too complicated to really boil down, but it's sort of the human mind space versus AI, and that fractal that's coming of hyper reality. And I talk about that stuff all the time. But that's basically, in a nutshell, what it's about.
What do you think would be the purpose of that?
It's the same reason I'm doing this show. The same reason I talk about the things in which I do, in the manner in which I do, is to make sure that we recognize what's happening to us and how far this goes if we allow it without checking ourselves, right? Before we wreck ourselves, as the old song goes.
Well, I would suggest something different.
Sure.
An alternative theory is maybe it is to condition the public, which this is largely what a lot of media serves, is to condition the public. It's something that already exists, that something like AI is already loose. I'm sure a man such as yourself has already taken that into consideration, the possibility that something like AGI already exists and maybe has existed for a decent amount of time. Not a crazy amount of time, but maybe within the last 5 to 10 years, or maybe a little bit longer. That is already out there.
Okay, I follow you. Agreed. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons here, and so that's why we take calls. What else do you think? Oh, we got other calls to get to, so I hate to abbreviate you here, but final thought regarding this: do you think that this is more or less complex than I'm making it? How about that?
I think it's more complex.
Okay, perfect. Then I think we're actually on the same page, which probably wouldn't surprise you.
It doesn't.
Right on, right on. I appreciate the call. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the kind words and for reading the Substacks and all the rest of it. Look forward to talking with you in the future. Happy New Year to you and yours, and you have a great night, okay?
You as well, Michael.
Thanks a lot. You're the best. That's Malk here, east of the Rockies. And he called in once before. We were talking about forbidden knowledge. And in this case, it's, again, a tangent of that, forbidden knowledge, except out in the open for all of us to see. What's going on? I hope you are well tonight. I'm calling this Serving Generic Masters. Why complexity resists control. And that's my theory. That's the thesis here, is that when you sort of take a very simple genre effect of action or rom-com or comedy, and you start mixing these ideas, I think it's more difficult to control, let's say, the populace, the idea space that flows through the zeitgeist. That's all. Maybe it's more complicated, maybe it's less, but that's the premise, and we only have so much time, so I can't go too convoluted. I've done that before in the past, so we'll leave it at that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anything to add to that, James? And thanks for being patient for the moment and dealing with I know you probably couldn't hear him on the phone line, but anything to add? Otherwise, we'll go to the Robert and everybody who's waiting on the line.
Yeah, I think that, as with a lot of things, anything can be multiple things at once, where it's sort of the single genre can be good in ways, again, like I said, for escapism, for just wanting to not focus on something too much. But it can also obviously be used for propaganda in a lot of ways, and to sort of get people focused on one kind of idea or one way that these companies, or corporations or governments or whatever, want us to think. Either way, it can be both at the same time. That's all I have for now.
Yeah. And two things can be true at the same time. And beyond that, too, there's a whole amalgam of ideas that maybe do fit into a singular place. And that's really what Troubled Minds is. Look, we don't do like just the alien narrative. Speaking of the alien narrative, rest in peace, Eric von Daniken, the author of Chariots of the Gods, and the guy who brought the idea of ancient astronaut theory into the mainstream through Giorgio Tsoukalos and Ancient Aliens. But he passed away last night. Again, a giant in the field. Whether you believe the things he says or not is, makes no difference to me. It's unfortunate when somebody passes, especially somebody with novel ideas that kind of presses this stuff and spreads the word on possibilities. That's what I love to hear and see, is possibilities. You were the best, James. Appreciate you. Hang tight. We'll get back to you momentarily. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this. Thanks for being patient, my man. Robert in Pennsylvania. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking. You sound fantastic. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I think that I'm thinking about the last 40 years of horror movies, and I'm thinking how there used to be, when I was a kid, it wasn't too hard. They were simplified, and it didn't take much to scare the hell out of you. And then came the 70s, and I think the 70s was pretty much, Chainsaw Massacre, some weird guy with a hockey mask slaughtering a dozen people, Freddy Krueger coming to people in their sleep and doing nasty things to them. And they were, innovative for their time as far as a horror genre. But then they overdid it. Because what happens is people become, especially when it comes to the slasher movies, people become what's the word?
Desensitized?
Desensitized to it. I never liked those movies, and I can't even recall one that I ever really went and saw either at the movies or on TV. I didn't like that's cheap horror. There's no talent to writing or producing a movie about some creep going around slashing, knifing people and cutting them up and all that sort of stuff. That's cheap horror, and people eventually became desensitized. But in real life, that happens. I can recall the horror of some guy climbing up the tower of a Texas university and start to shoot people. That was back in the early 60s. And it was, oh my, it was completely, everybody was just horrified by it, all right? This time, people were horrified, even people who didn't like the candidate, like, say, George Wallace, all right? They still were horrified that somebody shot him. Today, we don't like the person, we like the politician. There's people that would cheer if they were murdered, including our president. Times have changed. But the school shootings, Columbine started it. The whole world was just alarmed by that. But now it's almost like, well, it's going to happen. So, it could happen here, it could happen here. It's just another day of people are desensitized to it. Here's where horror really, really sticks. It's when you're reading a book, all right, and it's a good horror book, a book of horror, because you have to visualize that in your own mind. Where a horror movie, you're the observer, you're passive, you're watching that, you're not participating in it you're not any form of creation at all. That's why a lot of times you'll hear the book was better than the movie.
Yeah, and the funny part about that is, hey, the book and the movie are completely different things. So if you can't make an adaptation of the movie that's good, why make the movie? For the greenbacks, right? The greenbacks. I mean, clearly you're not going to be able to encapsulate every nuance of the book into a movie. So write smart, be deft, and create something good. But it happens a lot. They fail.
Well, the reason they fail is because it's a passive audience. We watch it. We don't think it. All right? We have to visualize, let's say, a Stephen King book. When we're reading a Stephen King book, we have to visualize what those words on the page are describing. So that makes us a participant. So we're into it much more than being, and that's why a book would largely become favored over the movie version of it, because we're more involved in reading the words.
Yeah, agreed. And there's a lot more to sort of play with in that mental space. The visual medium, you know, you gotta make something explode or have nice CGI or, you know, a very good looking actor or actress. This type of stuff, right? It literally turns from the theater of the mind. Shout out Clyde Lewis, who's also in the hospital, a mentor and I'm a big fan of his. But anyway, he uses that term for his radio show. But the theater of the mind is very much part of the book reading process, where it turns into something else, becomes the visual medium of, you know, loud noises and sexy people on the silver screen.
Sure, and I might as well put it out there. My favorite horror movie was one made for television, and it was an adaptation of Stephen King's Salem's Lot. All right, because the visuals, I mean, for that time, were amazing. These vampire boy out the window, let me in. It's just remarkable what the adaptation of King's book there, and also a favorite horror novel of mine is The Other by Thomas Tyron, and Stephen King's The Stand. Like I said. I'm looking at something here. And just like when somebody's doing drugs, right? Eventually they have to have a bigger high. They have to go for the they have to seek out a larger high. Well, that's the same thing with horror movies. All right. After you have one genre, repeat. It's like when the Beatles came out and everybody wanted to, all the rock groups started wearing their hair long and stuff. Everybody's trying to copy the Beatles. When a really innovative horror picture comes out, everybody tries to repeat it. And it's the same thing going on with the Marvel Universe. People are tired of it. All right. That's all I do. And people we need our next fix. We have to have something higher drug than that now. Also, what is meaningful as far as horror is our nightmares. And let me ask you, why do you think that is?
Our nightmares in particular?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a direct tap into our subconscious, and so that right there is that nightmare fuel that I'm always talking about. That I did a show on a ways back.
It's because.
Go ahead.
It's because you're in it.
Oh yeah.
You could be watching a horror movie, but you're not in that horror movie. But your own personal horror movie going on in your head when you're having a nightmare, you're in it.
Oh yeah, first person. It's you. The slasher flick is starring you. Yeah, okay, I got you. I follow.
Right. You can't get tired of that. And one genre of movies that you never get tired of is good science fiction. That's always a winner. If it's done well. That genre never gets tiring.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's forward facing, like it's future facing. And so we always want to dream of the future. And so it kind of makes it an easy tale to tell as long as it's, convincing and still rooted in the human aspect. Got about a minute left. What you got? Go ahead.
Well, that's really all I had to say. I just think that when you're talking about horror and horror movies, right, it's the same old too many times. And that's why the movies are doing so terribly, because all they want to do is leapfrog on the big movie, the most grossing movie of a year ago. They want to keep repeating and repeating, and they want to repeat the old movies, and the old movies are always better. Disney does this all the time to their own movies, and it sucks. And that's why they're losing money. Anyway, you're ready to go to commercial, and that's what I have to say. And I will sit back and listen to whatever of everybody else's opinions.
You're the best. Appreciate the phone call. Have a fantastic night. That's the Robert. You know him, you love him. Robert in Pennsylvania. Go give him a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. Check out his book. It's going to be down there in the link. It's alphabetical. troubledminds.org/friends, or just click the friends link when you're on the website there. Scroll down to the Robert and you will find his book. Go buy it. Go help our friends. That's the whole point of this. And there you go. There you go. What do you guys think? A lot of ways to look at this. What are these generic masters, and why are we blending genres and needing that next fix, as Robert suggested? 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More with James Salcedo coming up. We got Derek and Daryl. Daryl first, then Derek, and more calls on the way. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds when we return. Be right back.
Let's check the news. Stanford University researchers identified the protein 15-PGDH as a key factor in age-related cartilage loss and osteoarthritis. In mice studies, inhibiting 15-PGDH led to cartilage regeneration and improved mobility. Similar results were observed in human tissue samples. This suggests a potential new approach for treating arthritis by targeting existing cartilage cells, offering a possible alternative to joint replacement. A previous trial of a 15-PGDH blocker showed no major safety concerns, potentially speeding up clinical trials for arthritis treatments. Polymarket, a prediction market platform, is refusing to pay out users who bet on a U.S. invasion of Venezuela after recent U.S. strikes, arguing that the events don't qualify as an invasion intended to establish control. This decision has sparked outrage among users who believe Trump's statements and the military actions meet the criteria for a successful bet. The controversy follows allegations of insider trading related to the U.S. attack and highlights a growing trend of disputes over betting outcomes on the platform. Melissa Sims was jailed after her ex-boyfriend allegedly created AI-generated texts violating a protection order. Judge Herbert Dixon and Professor Rob Davidio highlight the increasing threat of AI deepfakes in court, noting the difficulty in detecting them verification. Sims's charges were eventually dropped, and she's now advocating for AI evidence standards. Pennsylvania recently enacted a law against AI deepfakes used to harm or exploit. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
That didn't come off as well as I thought it would. So that I talked about this last show, that polymarket bet thing about the quote invasion of Venezuela. So the polymarket bet, they were taking bets on whether Maduro would last as head of Venezuela for the rest of the year or whatever. And then right before that thing went down, a bunch of money got bet, right? Insider trading, obviously. And then now they're not going to pay it out because clearly it was like people from inside the military industrial complex that knew it was about to go down just threw some money on to make some money. Anyway, it's a funny thing to me, and I'm not getting political. I know that was a funny jab there in the chat that I'm a political guy or whatever. Mike's gone all political. Sure. But anyway, I hope you guys are well tonight. If I missed you in the chat, just say hi. What's up, Matsell, Herschel? We got the Robert. Thanks for the call. James, again, happy birthday to James. Joe in Florida. What's up, Daryl in New York is coming up. We got La Mosfina. What's up, Dragon Rose? Mephisto. That's Jacob. We got Derek the Night Stalker. APOC. I see you guys. Hope you're well tonight. Just doing what we do, hanging out and talking about wild ideas. Good evening, Jen. We got who else is here? Fred, Sweets. I see you guys. Hello. If I missed anybody, just say hi. What's up? Booma is here. Good evening. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. What's happening? Yeah, Exorcist definitely up there. Yeah, The Exorcist is an interesting one. That's like an entire sort of mind space, a whole write-up by itself, a whole show by itself. What's up, Maga? I see you. Good evening. Going through YouTube. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Stephen England, I see you there. You got first. Who else is that? Good evening. Stream Jesus. Frank. Oh, Frank, we miss you. Indeed. Shout out, Frank, if you're out there. We love you, buddy. It's been a long time. Get in touch with me, and love to have you guesting back on the show. Who else? Who else is out here that I missed? If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Trying to do my best to keep up. What's up? Karen is here. Great work over there on Knights of the Storm. What's up, Puff? Hiker, Gordo, I see you guys. Carl, it's not Carla, it's Carl. Good evening. We've got, thanks. Hiker says, I love the vintage webcam plus AI backdrop combination. It's actually a vintage webcam. It's like 15 years old. low resolution or whatever. It's so funny that it looks that way because it is that way. Who did I miss? Have I missed you guys? What's up, Ricky? Again, thanks for doing your show, and thanks for peeling off some time for us to kind of squeeze in and that professional courtesy. I appreciate that quite a lot. What is up? What is up? Who did I miss? Have I missed anybody? You tell me. Puff, I see there, and the Puff sighting has happened. And good evening. Good evening. All right, Trouble Minds coming up in about 30 seconds. We got Daryl in New York. We got Derek in Massachusetts, and your calls as well. What do you know? What do you know? I don't know. Me personally, I don't know a lot. I mean, I know. Let's say I know a lot, but let's say it's hard to synthesize and create coherence out of multitudes of data. There you go. That's the best way to say I know a lot of things, but I'm not sure what it means. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about, let's say, now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand, which we'll see some expanded play coming up soon. I'll let you know all about that when it hits. Tonight, we're talking serving generic masters, I'm calling this. Why complexity resists control. Now, it's very simple. Go back to the, let's say, the 50s to the early aughts, and everything was sort of genre dependent on a very specific niche. It had to be just so, or else it was unsellable or whatever, right? But recognize what's happening in a fractal AI world of human ideas. There's a lot of things coming together, and it's complicated, but, and I think there's a lot to be said for it, but also, as usual, one idea is bad because it's a control mechanism. Too many ideas is also bad because it turns into that loss of identity, as we've talked about ad nauseum in the past. So which is which, and how do you feel about it in serving these generic masters? And is it true when I make the statement, why complexity resists control? Does that make any sense to you? Love to hear your thoughts. James, anything to add? And then we'll go to Daryl and then Derek after that.
Yeah, I think, that complexity angle, that it seems to me like a lot of times when I hear about complex stories, they fall into that similar situation as, again, the Dark Tower series from Stephen King, where people are kind of split on whether or not they like the thing, even more so than maybe usual. So I have to look into it. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Yeah, and it is part of the reason too why, like I said, why we don't go viral, because we're sort of that idea of a genre of radio show that is not, it's not directly political. It's indirectly sometimes, rarely. It's not, directly the UFO space. It's not directly a paranormal show. It's not. It's a ton of things. I always say we kind of carving out a wide berth as part of these conversations, and that's the point. Is that humans are not just simply a singularity. We're just not. We're complicated, and what interests us today might not interest us tomorrow. And so, yeah, is it easy to go viral these days? Yeah, put on a red hat or a blue hat, and then just kind of shoot piss and vinegar into the wind, and you'll go viral because your team will back you up, whether you believe it or not. And I have my doubts that these people really believe what they're saying anyway. But I digress because. Dare I get too political? But yeah, it's complicated. It's wild. And this is why I love to talk about these ideas, because who knows? Who really knows the answers to these things other than, the human idea? And that's why we're here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Welcome, my friend. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, this time you're good. Loud and clear. Coming through.
Oh, good. Terrific. Great topic. Great calls so far. Happy birthday, James. And I wanted to say, I have a lot of thoughts on this topic. I'm not sure if this is really AI is getting more effective or smarter or starting to decipher more stuff that we're discovering or that we've already had in our possessions. But I was going to say something simple, maybe at a certain time we were in a place where we had a god for everything. We had a god for the harvest. We had a fire god, a water god, a sun god, whatever, And then I don't know. Maybe people were trying to say, no, there's one god. You have to think one god is responsible for everything. And then I started listening to more stuff about mud floods and our history. And yesterday I went to sleep to something that was talking about the Sumerians, which we know are the oldest recorded history that we're aware of. And in their recorded history, they started reading more carefully, perhaps, and they realized that they were going back years of their rulers. This wasn't like myth. This was their rulers before a certain time, and some of them were. I'm gonna get the dates incorrect, perhaps, but not exaggerating. A few thousand years of reign of one ruler. Then there was another ruler, 2,000 years, 100 years, blah blah blah, and then after this flood, there was a ruler that only lasted about 50 years and 40 years, whatever. So I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking also the Sumerian thing. They were discovering that when they would had records of their building or constructions, that they were discovering, they were building according to the prior builders. They were never doing anything from scratch. They were using the prior foundation, and underneath that was another foundation that was bigger, and then there was megalithic stuff. And how far back does this go? And let's say we were created to be some kind of workforce. I mean, just this is one of the theories, that people were just made in a test tube, or babies were made in a laboratory, or a 3D printer, who knows, but maybe they didn't anticipate we would have so much intelligence, or we would come with so much free will, or who knows, and that was their way of control. Their religion was something that was their way to control us, perhaps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you're reading my mind a little bit. I don't know if you read the write-up, but partially what you're saying is actually in the write-up, and that's part of that larger concept I was talking about. I'm writing a book. I'm actively working on a book about that exact thing you're describing, because I think it goes back thousands of years. It is complicated, and you do got to wonder if the pantheons of these ideas. I'm calling them generic masters in terms of genres, but the pantheons of the old gods certainly seem to fit quite a bit more than sort of a monolith of an idea. And again, I'm not saying God is real or not, or whatever. You believe what you want to believe. Everybody out there, you know me. I'm not trying to encroach on any of those things. I'm just saying that it feels more right, I think, if you look at history, sort of from the macro perspective, is that those old gods served many different purposes, and you didn't have to sort of put yourself into a pretzel just to be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. One thing for everything. That's what I'm saying. It's more about human ideas. That's really what this is about.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. But then I'm thinking, religion, like organized religion, when did that really start? That was some kind of control mechanism that was, organized, or cults, etc., was created for control. Or some people's egos became so big that they felt that they could, they wanted to be president or wanted to be a cult leader. Is there a big difference? I'm not saying that's true or anything, but I'm just saying, that kind of control mechanism is that something that they weren't anticipating either, that we would be that, inspired to be leaders or control, or was that actually an intention to have some, alpha kind of, human creating some sort of, being powerful enough to control the masses for them, let's say, just as an experiment, or if we are an experiment, for example, just saying, I'm not saying it's true or I believe it necessarily, but I'm just throwing that out there. What I wanted to say, my three favorite types of, books or movies was definitely The Stand. I have to put it up there. Dorian Gray, the picture of Dorian Gray scared the crap out of me. And anything with vampires, I particularly have a passion for, right? I think that's, and I'm sorry, Highlander, immortality. How can I leave that out? Love the idea of immortality, or these people that live 2,000 years. I mean, that's pretty immortal to me, as far as I'm concerned. After the first 1,000, do you still have a birthday cake? I don't know,
That's a good question. I'm getting a little long of tooth myself, and my birthday cakes I'd rather give them to the kids. I don't need the sugar at this point.
Right. Or the candles, right?
Yeah, all that.
I mean, anyway, and that's about it. And the only other thing I had to say is, do you know what they call, misinformation in Jamaica?
No.
Propaganda.
Of course they do.
Thank you.
Of course they do. You were the best. Always a pleasure. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Thanks for being patient to get in here, and you have a great night. That's Daryl in New York. You know her, you love her, good friend for a long time. Go give her a follow. Links in the description, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It is alphabetical, and you will find Daryl right there under D. Go follow her YouTube channel and go say hi. Go tell her you love her jokes, and she's the official cosmic comic of Troubled Minds, because I like to say the official this or the official that because it's funny. And that's it. And remember that this is an in club. This is not an out club. So everybody's welcome here, and that's the point of this. And just as a reiteration of the things that I've been talking about for a long time, just because I say it here on the show doesn't mean I believe it. It's my job to open up the ideas for conversation. Okay, just a reminder. I always say in the beginning of these shows, and I'll add it now, that all the disclaimers apply, that there's no truth to be found here. This is just ideas. And just as an additional, just because I say it doesn't mean I necessarily believe it. But I think it is a fascinating aspect of the human condition to be able to look at these things from different angles. So, I think probably if you pin me in the corner and ask me what I really believe, you might be shocked. Okay. Not because it would be, let's say it would be less weird than you think, even though I'm able to entertain a ton of weird ideas. And that's the point, right? It's kind of keeping one foot in the real world and keeping our minds open enough to consider things that we have really not discovered as yet. That's all. Very simple as that. Derek says he's on the way to the car. Talk to him in a moment. I'll put him in here for when he's ready to go. James, anything to add? Anything to add there? Great call from Daryl as usual. Welcome back. Happy birthday again.
Thank you. Yeah, great calls from everyone. And I'm sure, even though I didn't get to hear it, great call from Jay in Arizona. There we go. I remembered where it was from as well. Also, that is not always, I'm terrible at remembering things, so I'm happy I remembered that one. But yeah, it's not too much here. Just it is funny how, there are some stories that are simple that people, but then there's others that are complicated that people. So it really is, the whole thing is complicated. And because I think we can like different things, obviously for different reasons. And there's some King books that I like that are mostly paranormal, mostly supernatural, and I like them for that. So I was actually kind of surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah. Well, and those types of things, like Game of Thrones is one that gets people. Sometimes it's too dark and too gritty, right? But then it's got dragons, and there's, by mixing all these ideas, it's good. It is good. And, coherence becomes the thing. So given a ton of ideas, can you make something that is valuable to you as an individual out of it? Can you take the takeaway be something valuable to you? Shout out, Nick. I see you in the chat over there. I think you're on the other YouTube, I believe. I don't see you on this YouTube. Anyway, what's up? Hope you guys are well tonight. Just hanging out, doing Troubled Mind stuff and taking your calls. I'm calling this tonight. The idea is this: serving generic masters, and those are simply genres, and why complexity resists control. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I somewhere in between? And don't forget, all the disclaimers apply, and there's no truth to be found here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, brother? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How you doing tonight, my man? Go right ahead.
Going on, Britas? Happy birthday, James. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I got a few thoughts on this. I think that, like, we talk about it like a little bit in the conspiracy weird fields, how kind of everything is siloed off and how all the good stuff is coming when we synergize and synthesize things together. And I think that's probably happening in pop culture.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And I think kind of the maybe tee me off with the question. Sorry, I just ran in my car. I'm really distracted. Sorry. I do have thoughts though. Sorry.
That's okay. Serving generic masters. And so those are basically the idea of genres themselves. And is it possible that, like, you go back to ABC, CBS, NBC, sort of three narratives of propaganda from the 50s onward. And we've talked about this kind of getting to the early aughts as these ideas are becoming fractal. Is this a way to resist sort of the monolith of that control factor? That's really the question tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think yes. I'm not sure. I can't really pinpoint a time when when it would have started. I think right now people are into synthesized stuff. People don't necessarily want a single genre, and I think we might even be going the other way, where people start to become desperate for more niche things that are directed like specifically at them. And I think Robert brought up the Marvel movies, and I think a lot of this blockbuster fatigue people are having is because of they're mixing stuff in order to make them 4-quadrant like movies, to make them 4-quadrant projects. They don't want to just get sci-fi fans. They don't want to just get horror fans. They don't want to just get romance fans. They want to get everybody. They want everybody to be at least a little bit interested in it. They want to like remove all of the corners and edges and anything sharp that might poke people the wrong way, and then smooth it all out, and hopefully everyone will find it at least a little bit palatable. And I think Hollywood, the movie people, like, they love Star Wars, they love Indiana Jones and Jaws and stuff, but they point at George Lucas and Steven Spielberg for kind of bringing this blockbuster thing, for making Hollywood and the mainstream realize, oh wow, we can just get everyone. We just roll out these things all at the same time and get a little bit of mix this in together, and get something that you're the grandparents, the parents, and the kids will all like, the teenagers and the little kids and the college kids, like everyone's gonna like it. And I think that's kind of making everything taste a little bit samey right now. People might be after more unique tastes, more niche tastes right now. But I have more thoughts. But what do you think about that so far?
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. There's, as usual, there's a lot of things in play here. And what does it mean, though? Because I think you're describing what Robert kind of suggested earlier, as we kind of chasing the next high, at least in terms of storytelling, not as a direct drug per se, but as that dopamine hit of, okay, so this is kind of a novel angle on maybe an old idea, right? But then once you start peppering it with all these different things, as the old saying goes, you try to please everybody and then you please nobody. So are we kind of in that dangerous space of where this is headed? And I don't mean danger like we're in trouble. Your cognitive security is yours. You're responsible for it. And so, somebody's story somewhere should not cause you trouble. But when we're kind of being bombarded by these ideas at scale, then maybe we should strap the tinfoil on a little tighter. Is kind of my point.
Yeah, exactly. Like with me personally, if I'm trying to like describe what my favorite genre of comic is, like what my taste in comic is, it's kind of tough to describe that, because like I said, I like to go for esoteric stuff or kind of things that tangentially connect to show topics that you would talk about on any given night, but just in the comic medium. And I kind of like that within all of this stuff. It's kind of my favorite genre. It's kind of has one thing. And I think criticism of the audience, I think, is that they aren't looking for ambiguity right now. They want everything kind of spelled out for them. They don't want to necessarily be challenged that much. As an audience, like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there was a very huge show that just ended recently that a lot of people watched, and it had an ending that was a little bit ambiguous, and people didn't necessarily love it that much, or it kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And I think that's a modern symptom of kind of what we're talking about, with like people are being spoon-fed content a little bit. And like in the 70s, an ambiguous ending was commonplace, and they trusted the audience much more. And then kind of this blockbuster wave kind of made it so they want everyone to understand it, they want everyone to like it a little bit, and they don't want it to offend anyone, which is kind of a problem. But like Inception, the end of the movie Inception has a very ambiguous ending, which I like. But again, it's a little bit divisive. The people don't want to have. I don't know. They want to have it spelled out for them in a certain way. So they're kind of just like I like modern content, so I don't want to say it's like trying to dumb us down, whatever. But the desire to get the attention of the totality of the audience is softening everything. I watched A Complete Unknown today, the Bob Dylan movie. And did you see that? It came out last year, I think.
No, I haven't seen that one. No.
It was pretty good. With Chalamet, and basically, like, I'm going to kind of spoil it a little bit, but if you know Bob Dylan, it's just his life. He came out, and he started up in like 63, 64-ish range as a big folk hero, and kind of the folk, like Ed Norton's playing Pete Seeger, and he's kind of like a classic folk singer who's like kind of leading the folk movement. And like the genre is like real old timey seeming like to my ear, but it's like, this land is your land, this land, like real things that I consider to be. If you said that came out in 1850, I wouldn't surprise it. But that's one of his hit singles and stuff. That there's a tradition amongst folk. So Bob Dylan comes in and he becomes this icon and this like hero for folk music. And then immediately, like the next year, he decides that he wants to like kind of turns his cheek on that. And he like folk music is supposed to be just a guy and his voice and a guitar basically, or just it's unplugged. And famously at the Newport Folk Festival, he goes and they were told like, no, we'll cut the cord. You're gonna ruin us. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like are you even listening to the music? Like, why do you want me to? Why are you trying to put me in a box? I want to make new stuff. And that's kind of what endeared people to Bob Dylan, is that he was an iconoclast and that they were trying to box him in. They didn't want to allow him to synthesize in blues or synthesize in rock music into folk. They wanted to just keep him where he was. So, which got me, and that's kind of like the case for every classic artist. Like David Bowie mixed a lot of stuff together. Even Elvis, like, mixed music that was considered black and brought it to a white audience.
Yeah,
Ram Dass.
Gospel became rock. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Ram Dass brought together the East and the West. Drake brought together rap and R&B and all that kind of stuff that seemingly like, or just like are the people that we've kind of put on these pedestals. Like the story is usually they enter in one genre and they kind of change things, or they're put on like in a certain position, and then things get dicey for them, or they become the hero of their documentary or whatever. When they are faced with the generic God telling them, no, you are a folk singer, or no, you are this, no, you are this. People don't want this new thing. And they're like, no, they do want this new thing. I stop telling me that I'm one thing. Stop telling me that I'm just stop telling me I'm just a folk singer. I'm nothing. There's no word for what I am. They haven't invented it yet. Just shut up and listen to what I'm singing and you'll like it, kind of thing. And then years later we realize, oh yeah, that was awesome. That's what we really want, whatever. But it seems like, I don't know, people like Lil Wayne, like in the early 2010s, Kanye and Lil Wayne were the tops of the rap game, and Lil Wayne tried to do a rock album and Kanye tried to do a singing album, and they both were met with a lot of criticism. I was a huge fan of them at the time. I bought those records. I liked them a lot. I was smoking a lot of weed at the time. I enjoyed them. But they received a lot of criticism for, stop singing. You guys aren't singers. You're just using autotune. You're trying to. And then the next generation, like 2015 comes around or 2017 comes around. Now all of the artists are mixing. Then Drake comes, and Kanye's like, what the hell? He's stealing my whole shtick, and he's more famous than I ever was, because he didn't enter as a rapper and then got stuck in a box. He entered as a rapper who sings his own hooks. So he's always allowed to do this, you know? And this seems like, I'm making sense that like you enter the field as one thing and they try to box you in. And then when you try to grow as an artist, the generic gods tell you, no, you're just folk. You can't be like electric folk. That doesn't exist. And they're like, no, you don't know what exists because I haven't made it yet. And that's when you get the good art, kind of. And now I feel like people are still kind of like that. They don't bump up against like mixed genres or whatever. But if you try to go against what you are known for, they might try to box you in. I'm rambling. I'm trying to squeeze it all in time. But
no, you're good. Commercially speaking, that's exactly what happens. And many of them, in the old days, certainly in the legacy music days, if you didn't do what they wanted you to do, you're like, what? No, you were a rock outfit. You got to make a rock record. And they're like, well, we did that. We kind of want to do something else as an artist. Like, oh no, you signed the contract and we're funding you to make this music. You're going to make a rock record, right? Like this has been going around forever. Yeah. And you need a certain level of monetary autonomy to be able to kind of cast off those generic masters as you're describing. You're absolutely right. Spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I've been like in our own kind of field here. I like the idea of merging two worlds together, like the conspiracy world of these fringe worlds with kind of the mainstream and stuff, and bridge those gaps to create something new, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like running out of time, but I'm going to look up the clock. But appreciate you guys. Happy birthday, James.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks for the call. You're the best. You know him, you love him. Derek the Night Stalker. Please go give him a follow on all the places. You know where to find that. That's his YouTube channel, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It's alphabetical. It'll say follow Night Stalker here. It is under N. And go check out his actual YouTube. And you can see him. Again, Night Stalker. It's STOCKER. He calls us on his break, stalking overnight from a grocery store, the Night Stalker. So please go give him a follow. Follow his YouTube channel. It's completely free. Let's encourage him to create more content because he's a brilliant guy. Tonight we're talking generic masters. Now, what does it mean? Why complexity resists control? It's a premise. Like, I'm not the gospel of anything here. I'm just suggesting yay or nay, or somewhere in between, or somewhere outside of the paradigm that I haven't imagined yet. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. Don't go anywhere.
Let's check the news. In 2019, a cluster of patients in Brunswick, Canada, presented with CJD-like symptoms, baffling neurologist Alir Huero. Despite negative CJD tests, the cluster grew to 500 patients with diverse symptoms. A government investigation found no common cause, but Marrero believed in a new disease, possibly linked to environmental toxins. A later study dismissed the cluster as misdiagnosed known conditions, sparking controversy. Patients fiercely defend Marrero, accusing the government of a cover-up, while Marrero faces criticism and isolation. One patient, Jillian Lucas, is exploring medically assisted dying due to her deteriorating condition, highlighting the complex and unresolved nature of the situation. A recent DNA study suggests that Neanderthal interbreeding thousands of years ago may have contributed to lower pain thresholds in modern humans. Researchers linked 3 variations in the SCN9A gene, which affects nerve cell communication related to pain, to increase sensitivity to certain types of pain, particularly pricking up the skin. These Neanderthal variants are more common in populations with higher percentages of Native American ancestry. The study aims to explore potential evolutionary benefits or historical context of the increased pain sensitivity. Astronomers observed GRB 250702b, an unusually long gamma-ray burst lasting 7 hours, far exceeding typical durations. Observed by telescopes like the Very Large Telescope and Hubble, the burst originated in a galaxy. The cause is still uncertain, with possibilities including a collapsing star, merging remnants, or a star being disrupted by a black hole. This event provides a unique opportunity to study extreme physics and will serve as a benchmark for future research into gamma-ray bursts. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. We're just hanging out, doing Troubled Minds style stuff. If I missed you in the chat, just say hi. I'll say hey back. What's up, Matt, Sal, Herschel? We got the Robert. He's got his hand up. We'll talk to him again momentarily. What's up, Joe in Florida? What's up, Kelly? I see you there. Daryl, thanks for the call. Dragon Rose. We got Jacob, APOC, and La Mosfina. James, happy birthday. Thanks for being here on your birthday and hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate that very much. If I missed anybody, say hi. I'll say hi back. Who did I miss? There's somebody there on YouTube that I missed. Ioxy's here. I see who was that? It was, I thought they were on the other YouTube. Boom is here. Good evening. Jen, what's up? That's Nick. I see you. I see you, Nick. I saw the comment you made. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think religion as control is certainly a thing, but I think, I don't know, there's something to that the human spark, right? Like, and we're trying to find it all the time. So I don't know. I think it's complicated, but I think you're absolutely right with that comment. It just, I think to me, it expands quite a bit more from that space. Thank you, Derek, for the phone call. Appreciate it very much. Good stuff. As usual, you are the best. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody in any of the chats, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Doing my best to keep up, and it's not as easy as it looks. But also, by the way, they upgraded all the software and whatnot, and my new computer can kind of run it all. Did anybody notice I've got AI eyes? So I've got the AI eyes running with the NVIDIA plugin, so it's supposed to look at the camera all the time, no matter what I'm doing. So if you didn't notice, then it's getting scary good. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right now. More from James, more from the Robert, and your calls as well. Here we go. Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this Serving Generic Masters. Why Complexity Resists Control. And my premise is very simple. Very simple. It can get complicated, but very simply put, if you have genres that were in the old days, comedy, Western, romance, action, or whatever, was that some level of control? And by the way we're sort of taking these genres and combining them, and those are those generic masters, I'm calling them, sort of the pantheon of the old ways of comedy, of action, of romance, of all the things, then now we have the rom-coms and we have the this and the that and the different ways, and certainly sci-fi has always been sort of a genre blending aspect. But do you think that this complexity of kind of taking the old masters and remixing them is a way for us to resist the control of the past and the control of ourselves from these mechanisms we didn't realize were controlling us? It's simple, right? It's a simple notion, but I think it's kind of gets more complicated the more you delve into it and the more you think about it. And as usual, look, no truth to be found here, as I keep saying. I'm not right about anything. I defer all truth and just in favor of a conversation. So you guys tell me, am I onto something? Am I not? And either way, if I'm wrong, it's not going to bother me. I'll come back, tomorrow swinging fiercely with another idea. It's okay. Deferring truth is an important way to kind of just talk to each other and not offend each other and be ridiculous about ideas. Because I think, to me, as I said for quite a long time, ideas are the most important thing. Thanks for being patient friends with each other on the phone lines. Again, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, welcome back. Happy birthday again. Anything to add to anything that we've covered so far, or anything come to mind as part of the conversation?
Oh, just I'm thinking of a couple things, even with Bob Dylan. I mean, a lot of people who maybe were into his early stuff might not know that he joined a band with some other major stars at the time, I think in the 70s, that was made by George Harrison, the Traveling Wilburys. And it's they did their own thing because at that point they could, because they were all major stars. And but they never, I don't think they ever became extremely popular, because I've only heard of handfuls of people here and there that really knew of them, besides my family, which are heavily into. Also, I can't remember the name of the song now, but there's a song from John Lennon where he basically talks about how people approached him after the Beatles ended, and when he took a break for a while or was not making as much music. He has a song where he talks about people coming up to him and asking him, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you making more music? Why aren't you doing this full time? And so it's just fascinating that's sort of a thing. He was part of this huge band, possibly some people would say one of the biggest bands ever, and then they broke up, but people were still expecting them all to keep on going with their things. And I'm sure some people even were wanting them to stay together as well, and not just because of the quality of their music. It was, again, a money thing, as usual.
As usual, the less generic master, the singular monolith masters of money itself. Absolutely, yeah. It's funny when you go back and look at some of those old stories and how we've changed a lot. The internet has changed a lot of that stuff with distribution and sort of being independent and all the rest. To a degree, right? You get banned from all the platforms and you're still screwed. But at least you don't have to sort of, as metaphorically they said in the old days, sell your soul to the devil and sign a deal with like a record label. That was notoriously horrific for many acts. And show business is a I don't know what's a good saying about show business. I don't know. There's no business like show business, I guess. 100%. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good for now.
You're the best. 702-957-1037. The Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome back. You're on Troubled Minds. What do you think? Hello, sir. Are you there? You're unmuted, so you should be good. Test. 1, 2. Nope. We got a thing. An audio thing. I don't hear you, man. I'm not sure how we heard you previously, and now we don't hear you at all. That's a little odd. Technology, right? It's fantastic when it works. When it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to do like last time. I'm going to just keep talking, and you, as you get it fixed, just chime right in and continue the conversation. So as I was going through and doing the write-up here, the write-up is very good. Again, if you haven't read it, I do encourage you to read this stuff because it's the longer version of this. But basically, look, the ancient storytellers, they weren't confused. They knew that polytheistic, and again, I don't mean that, and I mean that in sort of this generic master's way. They knew that this whole idea of blending genres was something that is good art. It just is. It's one of those things where you can't really boil down art to that monolith of control, or else you get pop music. And look, I'm a fan of pop music. I'm not a hater. I'm not a guy that's like, they call it pop, so I hate it. I'm like, well, let me hear it. I want to hear it. I want to make up my own mind. And yes, I do like some pop music. Some of it's very good, but a lot of it has been sort of cooked into this weird, it has to be a certain way, and it's algorithmic now, and it has to, very much like YouTube videos. Like if you don't make a YouTube video with a hook and then, kind of a pacing that's quick, that kind of keeps the attention span, things get weird. Like you get zero, what do you call it? Zero actual distribution. And so you kind of have to follow the algorithmic pacing of these ideas anyway to get anywhere. And this is a good example of that. Like this was always a radio show. This was not meant to be a YouTube video, right? I'm trying to do a hybrid thing here, but it was never meant for that. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. The Roberts, test 1, 2, are you there? Let's try it again. No. Muted yourself or something. I don't know what's going on. You sounded fantastic earlier. I don't think it's Discord because you would have not sounded fine the first time. But anyway, I'm going to keep talking. So here we go. So and this is the point I was making, and this is from the write-up. In the 1950s through the 1990s, the culture tried very hard to enforce genre purity, and even into the aughts, as I said. Horror films were horror. They weren't supposed to be funny or beautiful. Comedies were comedies. They shouldn't make you think too hard. Thrillers were thrillers. Keep sentiment out of it. We developed an entire critical language around tonal mistakes and confused narratives. If a story shifted between genres, it was broken. It didn't know what it was. It was poorly executed. But something interesting happened. Audiences never stopped wanting these pantheons of these generic masters, being able to mix and match, being able to create a complex story from the original ideas going back thousands. So in this case, the most beloved, most discussed, most analyzed stories of the last 15 years have almost all been radically polytheistic. Not gods, polytheistic in terms of these generic masters, the genres. Game of Thrones, before the ending, was a political thriller and a family drama and horror and romance and epic fantasy and dark comedy all at once. The Mandalorian was a space western and a found family drama with the Baby Yoda, and mythology and action adventure and contemplative character study with Mando and the whole Mandalorian aspect of this is the way and sort of their weird religion. Andor, Star Wars again, was a political thriller and a war drama and personal tragedy and a heist narrative and philosophical meditation on resistance. It's good, right? None of these fit neatly into a single box. All of them are more powerful because they refuse to pick a single master. And that's the point. I think that's the entire point of really looking at this and calling these things the generic masters and recognizing what they are, and then being able to kind of do that collectively and recognize that fractal is happening. And some of the best art is without the generic masters at all, as Derek was very smartly saying, in the sense of, no, I'm not folk, I'm not pop, I'm just me. Can't I just be me? And you'll see what comes next out of me. Let me create it first, and then we can talk about what it might be. Do you like it or do you not? That's the most check the box or not check the box. Love to hear your thoughts. A lot of things in play tonight, and appreciate all the interaction and calls and ideas in the chat. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. If you get back in here, Robert, it's all yours, but go ahead, Joe. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Joe in Florida. How are you? Go right ahead, sir.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right. I'm just kind of spaced out doing some other things and getting ready for the week, so I just got a few notes, but I'm surprised nobody's mentioned if it even fits Dungeons and Dragons when you have your character as chaotic neutral, or neutral, whatever, chaotic good, all of those things. I think something like this would fit into the conversation. Definitely, Derek, talking about music made more sense to me because you were asking about movies, and I like movies. I have movies, but like Robert had said earlier, kind of like the murder stuff I never watched. I never really, even though I can go in and bomb somebody, and I've seen some messed up stuff in person, But tonight, wife was watching a show, and more lately, she'll watch those murder shows and the murder mysteries and everything, and I just don't watch them because it is too close to real life. It does kind of bother me, But I would think mixing the genres or changing characters. And the example that I come up with, if anybody watches Deep Space Nine, was the big episode in the Pale Moonlight. And in Star Trek, most Star Trek tried to hold these ideals of Gene Roddenberry. And it was always these good ideas of being, having honor and being, honor in your actions and representing the Federation and representing, what that uniform meant in this TV show. And in the Pale Moonlight, in one episode, the captain, who literally is a veneered god and has visions and is very, very straight-laced, becomes involved in a murder plot, basically. And the way the story is told, if nobody has seen it or they need a reminder, the story is basically told as he's reporting it to the captain, to the log, to the computer. The whole episode is captain's log, and he's talking to himself in the office, and it goes over the events of what happened. And at the end, he says he's guilty, and he's saying it to the camera and to the computer. And he goes, however, Garrick was right. Having 2 people killed to save millions is something I could sleep with at night. And then he double takes and he goes, I can't sleep with it at night. And then he deletes the log. And that's it. And that's always been one of the top episodes of these Deep Space Nine. If you've
Test 1 2, are you there? I've never seen Deep Space Nine, by the way. Not a single episode that I recall. Are you there? Is that my internet or yours? You hear me, James?
It might be his.
Yep. I think he warbled out. Okay. He warbled out. Yeah. Deep Space Nine. I've never seen it. But this is an interesting thing too. The idea of, right, I offed 2 people to save 1 million. Well, how would you know the 1 million would have perished, right? Like this is one of those old philosophical conundrums of the tracks, the trolley and the people, right? What's it called? The trolley dilemma, right? Like you don't really know, right? Anyway, James, anything on that? And then we got the Robert with his hand up. We'll go to him again. And if Joe pops back in, we'll go back to Joe.
Well, this is reminding me of something from more Star Trek, Next Generation, where there was a point where the Picard and his crew had rescued a Borg, one of these hive mind aliens that they.
You hear me? I couldn't hear any of that.
Yeah, that's better. You're back.
Yep, you're back.
You're back.
What happened? What'd you guys lose me? I don't know what happened.
We lost you at Deep Space Nine. You were basically said that the 2 people that you had to off to save 1 million, and then he couldn't live with himself, and then he deleted it. That's where you cut. And then we'll go, hang on to the
so
idea, James. Hold on, real quick, just to make sure we get everybody in here. Hang on to what you were saying, James. We'll get back to you in a moment. Go ahead and finish your thought of Joe, and then back to James.
Sorry, no, it's fine. I mean, it was just if you have to describe it to somebody that never watched Star Trek, that might be the episode that draws them in. It had a little bit of everything. You had a straight-laced captain that's a veneered god and other things in that show. And then for this one episode, he goes down a rabbit hole that was pretty evil and pretty bad and very deceptive. I mean, just totally deceptive to meet his needs, to meet his ends. And, that was it. That's the one thing I could think of. Musicians, I can go back and forth. David Bowie, Derek said it earlier. It's kind of weird. Saw Labyrinth yesterday, and then on the way home, I was coming home last night late, and David Bowie, China Girl was on TV on the radio, and I felt like David Bowie was in front of me, which was a weird just experience. And I just thought about it. It was basically because I watched him act on a screen for 2 hours and was literally reminiscing it because my kid wanted to see the movie, which is great. But when I came home at like 2 in the morning later on that night, because I'd gone out and done some other things, hearing him in music, I almost felt like I could have touched him, like he was in front of me. It was weird. But seeing him act and then seeing him no, he did music and then act was great. But anyway, I'll leave you at that. Happy birthday, James. And that's really it, man. I didn't bring much. I just was like thinking about that. But I noticed that nobody was talking about D&D, and characters shift colors, black, white, gray. It seems more or less now people should be gray because that's our reality, is to be gray, I would think. Especially with the government and things that are happening right now.
Chaotic neutral for the win. If you had to boil me down and back me to a corner and be like, what D&D alignment are you, Mike? Chaotic neutral. Yep. You're the best. Appreciate the call, Joe. Have a fantastic week. And if we don't talk to you, we'll catch you next week. Take care. Have a great night.
Good night, guys. Good night.
You're the best. You know me, love him. Joe in Florida, good friend for a long time. The official funeral director of Troubled Minds, the Undertaker of Troubled Minds. James, anything to add? You had a point there about Star Trek, and sorry, we interrupted you.
No, it's fine. So they had found this one Borg, this one alien, and there was a huge debate. They figured out they could possibly send it back to the hive mind and destroy the whole species, which was already trying to destroy them and the whole, civilization. And in the end, they didn't do it. And they did something else instead. And Picard was called out for it later on by an admiral in another episode who told him, don't do that again. Next time you have a chance, you take it, and that's an order. So odd parallels there.
I have seen that one, and yeah, that's it's very good. And yes, again, how do you save one, but then you take out millions instead? It's a philosophical conundrum that goes back to the early days of humanity and continues to this day. 702-957-1037. The Robert, we can hear you over there making some noise. I think you're good to go. Welcome back. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You sound great.
Well, I had to switch USB ports. I guess something went wrong with the other one. Happy birthday, James.
Thank you.
Let me guess. It's your 41st.
Not quite. You're a few shy of what the actual thing is. Yeah.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Oh. Well, that's close.
44.
I missed your show with Jennifer. I'm going to probably try to find that in the morning and listen to it then. The reason I called back is, did you say you were writing a book, Mike?
Yes, I am working on a book about this kind of in the periphery of this idea. This idea definitely fits into the book. Darrow hit on it very hard on her call, but yes.
Is it nonfiction or fiction?
It's sort of a conspiracy view of history. So both, I guess.
So it's nonfiction?
I wouldn't call it that. I'd call it fiction. I'd call it historical fiction.
Okay. The reason I'm calling about that is when you get that done, could you email me a copy of what you've completed? Matter of fact, you can even do that if you as you go along. In Word. I'm a very good reader. You really should have some readers to look it over for you when you progress with that. But also, I'm a very good editor, and I'd be very interested in seeing that.
You got it. You got first crack. The second I got something that's worthy of editing, you get first crack at it, and I will take your edits under very, very heavy consideration. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much, and that's where I'm done. That's the only reason I called.
Thank you for calling back.
James.
You were the best. Have a great night. The Robert, check out his book, Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. You know where to find it, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down to the Robert and go check out his book. Yeah, I mean, historical fiction, right? Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I think the second you start to look at history through a new lens, you become like a history revisionist or I don't know, like a maverick, or I don't know. I'm enough of a weirdo as it is, but I don't know. Labels, I think, is an interesting thing, as we're talking about labels tonight. We're talking about these generic masters in terms of genres and all the rest. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at history sort of from a macro perspective, and in the 21st century, I think it needs some, we need some work there. I think there's some interesting parallels that don't get talked about quite as much. And yeah, so I've got the whole outline, and everything's kind of, these things go fast once you start cranking them out, especially when you've got help and you know exactly what I mean. Anything to add, James? I got a little bit to read from the bottom of the write-up here to kind of wrap this whole thing up, but anything to add? Happy birthday, the birthday boy, and we'll wrap this up and shut it down.
Yeah, just thanks to everyone for all the birthday wishes everywhere. And this was an amazing topic. It had me thinking about not just the Dark Tower, but my own experience in writing. And I don't really want to go into that bunch, but just thinking about how genres I started off being interested in and I changed later, and now I'm kind of merging them myself. And great show, great calls from everyone. And thank you for having me on as always, Mike.
You're the best. Always a pleasure. Here you go. I'm going to do it this way, and we'll read it out. What we're watching is a return, not an innovation. A return. The pantheon reasserting itself after centuries of attempted consolidation. And it's not just happening in narrative. It's happening in spirituality, where people are building personal pantheons instead of accepting singular religious doctrine. It's happening in identity, where people refuse to be pinned down to a single category. As you know, I talk about that a lot. It's happening in knowledge systems, where interdisciplinary thinking is finally being recognized as more sophisticated than single discipline expertise. We're watching the collapse of artificial consolidation across every domain. And the reason is simple. Consolidation into singularity is unnatural. That's what I'm writing a book about. Your brain evolved in a landscape of competing agents, predators and allies, different group members with different agendas, nature with its own indifferent logic. Your ancestors survived by holding multiple frameworks simultaneously. They had to think like prey, alert to threat, and like hunters focused on opportunity, and like community members concerned with social bonds, and like individuals pursuing personal goals. All at once, all of the time. When you try to flatten that into monotheism, religious or narrative, of course we're talking narrative tonight, you're working against your neurology. Polytheistic thinking is the natural slate of human cognition. We are built or evolved to navigate contradiction. We are sophisticated enough to understand that reality is too complex to be ruled by a single principle. A story that embraces this, that lets multiple masters negotiate within the same frame, feels true because it mirrors how your brain actually processes reality. You cry at funerals while laughing at jokes. You feel fear and wonder simultaneously. You experience joy and despair in the same moment. Your actual lived experience is radically polytheistic in terms of ideas. A single genre story that tries to isolate you into one emotional state feels false. It feels like it's asking you to pretend to be simpler than you are. A polytheistic story that holds multiple truths feels like relief, like recognition, like coming home. And that's exactly what's on my mind tonight. I appreciate you guys hanging out and being part of these conversations. Thanks for all the great calls and all the great chat. And of course, thank you for supporting the show for as long as this has been going on, even if you think I'm too political, even if you think I'm not political enough, even if you don't like me. Look, if you haven't noticed, it's all fine. I'm wrong. I'm right. I'm whatever. I don't fit a genre. I'm just me. And guess what? Let me tell you, you bet your bippy to me, that's good enough. And that's the way I see this. If you want to help Troubled Minds, you know what to do. Help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. Please go follow. There's so many people that have made this show go, that have contributed over the years. There's a lot of them there. There's a lot of them that listen. There's a lot of them that contribute. There's a lot of them that are really good friends and really good thinkers. So please help our friends. This is a community. This is not about me. Otherwise, it would be called The Troubled Mind. It is Troubled Minds Radio. I'm Michael Strange. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. Again, happy birthday to James. Reach out to him, salcedoparanormal.com. Go buy one of his books, salcedoparanormal.com. You got links to his books there. Go, happy birthday, James. Go buy one of his books and you won't be disappointed. It's money well spent. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. So we are doing 2-hour shows now, as you know, so we're going to end this. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making my world go round. Thank you for calling and sharing ideas, even if these ideas are sometimes challenging, incongruent, or somewhere in between. That's that. As we finish, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. And of course, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.